Hey guys, welcome to today's video and part 2 of this 3-part series where we will look at the life of the Mazda Miata through the generations. Last video, we looked at the history of the Miata and its journey from the chalkboard to our roads today. If you haven't seen that yet and are interested, please just go take a look once you're done with this video. I'll put a link in the description to make it a little bit easier on you guys. In today's video, we will be looking at every generation of the Miata made so far and how they line up against each other. We will also look into the future of the Miata and explore the possibility of an EV. So, welcome, take a seat, grab some chocolate milk, and enjoy. The Miata is probably best known for the NA. From the pop-up headlights to the small smile, everybody knows the first-gen Miata. This car was produced between 1989 and 1997, with 431,506 cars produced, which was the most of any generation ever. The NA came with the options for the 1.6 and 1.8 inline-4 engines. The 1.6 inline-4 put out about 114 horsepower and 100 foot-pounds of torque, with the 1.8 liter making just about 128 horsepower and between 110 and 114 foot-pounds of torque, depending on the year that it was made. The NA Miata was also the lightest Miata, weighing in at just 2,120 pounds, or about 960 kilos for all you metric folks. As the Miata with the least power, it was also the slowest one. It can do the standing quarter in 16.6 seconds with 0 to 60 of 8.6 seconds. Even though it is the slowest Miata in a straight line, that's not what the car was built for. It was built to outhandle almost any car on the road. Fun fact, Christian von Koenigsegg modeled the feel of the Koenigsegg Regera after the NA Miata. So yeah, needless to say, it handles pretty well. And the fact that it's the lightest Miata made helps its case a lot in the Road and Track. As Road and Track, the magazine puts it, the first gen car is like a puppy. It might not be as well coordinated and grown up as the rest of the bunch, but it is absolutely the most fun to fling around the back roads. The NA Miata is generally the favorite of the 4 current existing generations, and that's what helped kickstart the loyal fanbase of the Miata and helped Mazda sell over 1,000 Miatas total. The second gen Miata, manufactured from 1998 till 2005, brought many improvements to the family, but it took one thing away that everybody misses, and that was the pop-up headlights. Although losing those sucks, it was really the only downside to the NB. Although it weighed slightly more, coming in at 2,348 pounds, or 1,065 kilos, it was still super light and handled super well. The NB kept the 1.6 and 1.8 engines, but the power was bumped up to 125 and 146 horsepower respectively, with both putting out more torque. One other thing the NB offered was an option for the turbocharger. With the Mazda Speed package, you got a turbocharged 1.8 liter engine making about 178 horsepower and 166 foot-pounds of torque. One interesting thing about the Mazda Speed Miata is that its redline is actually 500 RPMs lower than the naturally aspirated 1.8 due to the extra stress put on the internals of the engine by the turbo. The NB could complete the standing quarter in 16.1 seconds for the 1.6 and about 15.9 seconds for the naturally aspirated 1.8. Whereas the Mazda Speed could run about a 15.2 second quarter mile, with the 0 to 60 times of the NB ranging from 9.2 to 6.1 seconds, depending on the engine. The NB Miata also got a facelift around the year 2000, but it didn't have much of an effect on performance, so comment down below which one you prefer, pre or post facelift. Personally, I prefer the pre-facelift. I think it just looks better, but that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. The NC Miata was produced from 2006 to 2015 and is probably the Miata that gets the least love. It is the worst looking Miata in my opinion, although it still looks great, don't get me wrong. But it's also the heaviest, coming in at 2,450, or about 1,110 kilos. Although it is still very light compared to most other cars, so it still handles really well. To compensate for the weight that the NC put on, they ditched the weaker 1.6 liter inline-4, but instead replaced it with a 2 liter inline-4 instead, keeping the 1.8. The 1.8 put out about 126 horsepower and 123 foot-pounds of torque, giving the car an 8.2 second 0 to 60 and a quarter mile of 16.5 seconds, while the 2-liter put out about 170 horsepower and 188 foot-pounds of torque, giving the car a 0 to 60 of 7.3 seconds and a standing quarter mile of 15.8 seconds. One super cool thing about the NC is that it is the best Miata for tall people. Being 6'5" myself, I think it'll probably be the Miata that I get if I ever decide to get one. Being the heaviest Miata, it's also the worst handling of the bunch, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Sean Bailey from Road & Track puts it this way: "It's got good bones, but it needs more work to make it great. In stock form, the suspension is soft and the seats don't have enough bolstering. Having driven an STR Prep Miata and the SCCA Solo, I know how good it can be." So, the NC is overall a great car, and in my opinion, actually has the best potential for mods due to its slightly bigger size. They can look really good when done right. For the last existing gen of Miata, we have the ND, or the 4th gen, made from 2016 to the present. It is the newest Miata and also the fastest. The car has options for a 1.5 liter and a 2 liter inline 4. The 1.5 liter puts out 129 horsepower and 141 foot-pounds of torque, pushing the car to 60 in 7.5 seconds and pushing it to the quarter mile in 15.9 seconds, whereas the 2 liter puts out a strong 181 horsepower and 151 foot-pounds of torque. The ND is the second lightest Miata, weighing in at 2,332 pounds, or 1,058 kilos. In my opinion, it's also the best and most aggressive looking Miata made so far. The ND is also the star of IMSA's MX-5 Cup, with some of the world's best drivers having their first racing experience outside of go-karts in the NDs. The NDs also have the best looking mods in my opinion. You can make them look so aggressive and so good. The ND is also the most expensive Miata ever sold, starting at around $27,650 USD and reaching about $36,000 for the more expensive variants. Now let's take a look at the possible future of the Miata. The future of the Miata is coming soon, possibly as soon as 2024. We don't have power or weight specs, but we do know that the next gen MX-5 will come with an ICE or internal combustion engine option and will still be able to be found with a manual transmission. Now with that being said, there will probably be some options for a hybrid engine, or possibly even a full electric Miata. The big concerns with the electrical components are that they are heavy and expensive. That will kind of kill the concept of a cheap, lightweight car, given that those are actually opposites. I didn't know if you knew that, but heavy and lighter opposites and expensive and cheap are opposites, so it kind of kills the whole vibe. But that being said, an electric Miata wouldn't be all bad. Due to where the battery, which is usually the heaviest part of an EV, is located, EVs have a great center of gravity and handle super well. So that may be one benefit of having an EV Miata. One thing that we can expect from the new Miata is that it will be quick on its toes and fun to drive. Now, with that being said, let's hear from you. What do you want to see in the next gen MX-5, and what are your hopes for it? Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been part 2 of a 3-part series. Part 3, coming out in the next couple weeks, will be about the history of the Miata in motorsports and the MX-5 Cup. Thank you guys again for watching. This has been Ryan Moore with Car Guy Bits. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.